From CBS News World Headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening. Katie is on assignment. It looks like we're heading for a government shutdown tonight, the first in 15 years. Republicans and Democrats in Congress have not been able to settle their differences over the budget. They cannot even agree on what their disagreement is about. Republicans say it's about how much to cut. Democrats said it's about Republican attempts to cut off funding to Planned Parenthood. Either way, without a deal, there is no money to keep the government running. So it will begin closing down at midnight. Congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes is on the Capitol with more. Nancy, good evening.
Harry, good evening. We're getting strong signals at this hour from both sides that they are circling a final deal, with pressure mounting from the White House, the Pentagon, and their own constituents to keep the government running.
Hey, hey, we want to serve today.
As federal workers grew increasingly anxious about a shutdown, leaders in Congress were working around the clock to blame the other side.
And when will Senate Democrats get serious about cutting spending?
Republicans are responsible for shutting down the government.
They held accusatory press conferences all day long.
And if we're this close to a deadline, shouldn't you be in the room together trying to come to an agreement?
Don't I wish?
Why aren't you?
All we need for them to say is the agreement that we made last night will be fulfilled.
Republicans said the main hangup was the size and makeup of cuts to this year's $3.83 trillion budget.
We're not going to roll over and sell out the American people like it's been done time and time again here in Washington.
Democrats insist the two sides had already settled on $38 billion in cuts, and that this entire fight had come down to Republican opposition to federal funding for family planning and women's health care.
I can't believe that we are sitting here today about to shut down the government over contraceptive pills, because that's what it's all about.
Republicans wanted to block about $300 million in federal grants to 4,500 different clinics around the country. About a quarter of that funding goes to Planned Parenthood, which does perform abortions, though not with federal dollars. Late this afternoon, the GOP appeared to back down from that fight in the face of a lashing from female Democrats.
It's an opportunity for the right wing in the House to really sock it to women.
As lawmakers bickered, their inability to fund the government monopolized headlines from coast to coast. 400,000 civilian employees at the Department of Defense were told they might have to stay home without pay. Secretary Gates tried to find humor in a grim situation.
You know how things are in Washington when you'd rather be in Iraq.
Our correspondents around the country found even the threat of a shutdown was disrupting commerce.
I'm Don Teague in Dallas. It's the eve of the busy spring home buying season in Texas. A shutdown couldn't come at a worse time because the Federal Housing Administration would stop processing loan applications. Nationwide, that would put some 35,000 deals every week on ice. Atlanta-based SunTrust Bank is among those urging its processors to finish up current mortgage applications before it's too late.
I'm Dan Boyce in Bozeman, Montana, the gateway for the 3 million tourists that visit Yellowstone National Park every year. The tiny village of Gardner has waited all winter for Yellowstone to open. Businesses are entirely dependent on park visitors, and a long shutdown would be catastrophic.
We probably couldn't go more than a week or two until we, had some major effect.
I'm Terry McCarthy in San Clemente, California, next to Camp Pendleton, home to 42,000 Marines. Military families here are getting increasingly worried they will lose their paychecks in a shutdown, like Erica Thompson, whose husband is with the Marines in Afghanistan.
It makes them think, well, if I am doing all this and then my family back home is having to struggle, it's very upsetting, and I know it would upset my husband.
Many here live paycheck to paycheck. Any disruption would hit hard.
No wonder voters at this town hall in Alexandria, Virginia, concluded the blame rests with both parties.
You said you're ready to work this weekend. Did you work last weekend? Where was Congress last weekend? Why is everything now in the 11th hour?
There was a rush on passport offices today amid fears that they would be closed tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow had been designated National Passport Day, but that's since been canceled, Harry.
So, Nancy, what happens if a deal is not completely done by midnight, but they think they might be close?
Well, right now, Harry, lawmakers are working on a simple short-term spending measure that would keep the government open for a few more days. And that's a good sign because it's something that they said they would only agree to if an overall deal was within arm's reach. Harry.
Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill, thank you.